second on our, yeah.
That's when the Holyoke Historic Commission will be here and for the July 29th meeting. And Marco wants to connect us better with them for that eligibility process with determining the historic significance of the projects. Remember that last year?
But we still won't have the opening filled yet, so I mean, it's up to you guys.
Still won't have what?
We won't have that opening filled until the first meeting in August, and that's providing they do it, because that's, the city council's not meeting till the first Tuesday in August.
Oh, okay, but I thought, what I was saying is that if you wanted to wait till July 29th to do the election of officers.
We can.
July 29th.
Well, there's no Madam, excuse me for interrupting. Madam Chairman, we could elect an officer. I mean, there's no reason not to do it this evening. And I'd like to, if I may, Madam Chairman, nominate Kip to be chairman.
Second.
Sorry.
Any discussion?
I also agree with that.
Yeah, fine, exactly, yes, absolutely. It's your turn, baby. It's your turn.
I'll help all I can. Promise.
Good man.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and do you want me to continue, or do you want to take over right now?
Unless you want me to.
I don't care, it's up to you, whatever, you're the boss now.
Mr. Chairman, do we nominate a vice chair? Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, Rosemary to be vice chair?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
So this is effective immediately, or?
Yes. We have a vote? Do we vote?
Oh, yes, any discussion on that? No, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You couldn't get that done quick
Okay.
I know, huh?
So, Elaine, are you still on the board?
Oh, I'm still a member until a year from now, and then I'll be done.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, and I will be done.
I'm curious to know how long is everybody's term from now? I mean,
Well, the only terms that change are the ones that are appointed by the city council, which are 3. There's 3 of us. The others are on boards and commissions that appoint them for, I don't know, as long as whatever they want to serve.
oh, well, I
guess.
looked at what it says is it can be 6 years consecutively, but they have to reappoint after 3 years.
That's the boards and commissions one.
I
Yeah.
think so. It's either that or the at-large.
The at-large
No, it's
are-
probably the boards, because I think, yeah.
I think maybe the at-large positions are for 3 years. They will be from now on.
Right, and I think for the at-large, you have to then be off the committee for a period of time before returning. Oh, no, maybe it's after the 6
let's
years.
look it up.
Yeah, I read it. It's after
Yeah.
the 6 years, you have to be off the committee
Okay.
for a period of time.
So you
after
can
6
be
years.
reappointed by...
For anybody who's on the committee for 6 years. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to be off the committee. It might be for 3 years or whatever.
So everybody can only be on for 3 years?
No, 6, well, okay, let's look at the actual
Yeah, I think we better.
thing. But I believe it said that you can be on for 6 years, but after 3 years, you have to be reappointed.
After 3, you should be reappointed, and like for Parks and Recs, I'm on because I'm on Parks and Recs, and my tenure is only 3 years at Parks and Recs anyways. So either way, you wouldn't pass that 3-year term regardless.
But you could stay, well, no, you can't stay on.
No, I couldn't stay on.
No.
Somebody else from Parks and Recs would have to take the seat.
But they would
Right.
reappoint.
Right. Don't like, so now if I move up, because I think Libby's leaving, because she's running for city council, and
Oh,
Mr. Listowski might not be doing it again, renewing. So then I might become chairman, and I'll still come to the meetings because I'm okay with it. I like doing this. But if ever somebody else would like to do it, we might switch. But I don't think.
Okay.
For me, it's fine.
it says under at-large members on the second page of the, it's the Holyoke Amendment. At-large members shall be, at-large members shall be appointed but to the following initial terms: 1 for 1-year term, 1 for a 2-year, and 1 for a 3-year term. All subsequent terms shall be for 3 years. No at-large member of the committee shall serve more than 6 consecutive years at a time. A waiting period of 3 years shall be imposed on any at-large member of the committee after serving 6 consecutive years, if they wish to rejoin the committee.
Okay. Good. But that's for at-large, that's not.
Yeah, that's for at-large, but the page before, I think the bottom of the page before talks about the other ones. It says, let's see, it says, unless otherwise addressed in Section B, members of the Community Preservation Committee shall serve a term determined by their designating authority, not to exceed 3 years. All members at large and otherwise are eligible for reappointment. Should any appointing or designating authority fail to appoint a successor to a committee member whose term is expiring, such member may continue to serve until the relevant determining authority names a successor. Members may be removed in a manner determined by their designating authority. A vacancy of the committee shall be filled in a manner prescribed by the relevant designating authority. What do they mean by the designating authority?
That's their
Oh,
Parks and Rec, you know.
oh, right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No member of the Committee Preservation Committee shall serve on said committee for compensation. Well, we know that.
May I, Mr. Chairman, make a suggestion? Mr. Chairman, may I make a suggestion? Every one of us on the committee should give Amy the date that we started. So
Yeah,
that
that's what I was asking about, yeah.
Yeah, so that she can have this, you know, and alert us when we are up and, you know, so that we can keep track of who's supposed to be
Put in an
doing
Excel
what.
spreadsheet.
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, everybody should know when they personally started, so to let Amy know, we'll do that. You can email,
Oh,
by email,
Okay.
I would suggest, yeah.
okay, I can send an email asking people.
Okay.
Parks and Rec founding members, let's call us, when some members was 2 years?
When we started officially,
Yeah.
we started in September of 2000 and, let's see,
17 or
19,
18?
18, 16.
No.
17? 17? No, it was 16 because, yeah,
Well, I did
Yeah.
1 year, because I was the 1 year.
right, right,
And I got reappointed last summer.
yeah, so you're on, yeah, okay, so that's all you have to remember.
17. Right? 17 and 18.
Sounds correct.
Okay, yes, yes, yes.
You know,
But 17,
August
no, no,
of last year,
I've been president since January of 2017. We started in August of 2016. Maybe you were late to get reappointed, I don't know.
Time goes by.
Oh, wait, 2018.
we
No,
don't
you're
have anyone
right, you're
taking
right.
minutes for this meeting.
2018,
I'm worried.
a year and a half ago,
She
2018.
can't, she's not going to hear us over that
Okay,
AC.
so you're right, 2017, he's right.
Oh, maybe she will. I'm just noticing we don't have Meg here to take minutes, so let's all be sure to talk into the mic.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
know how
Yeah,
she'll
that's
do
right,
the
too.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to clarify, is Andrew still on or not on?
He is until the city, someone reappoints him. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I gotta stop.
No, no, that's
take me
good
a
for
while.
tonight. That's good
Okay.
for tonight.
Yeah, until the city council reappoints someone to take his place, which
Okay.
hopefully will be the first Tuesday of August.
And Marco said he is going to stay on, if I remember right. Okay, so I'm just trying to check our group here to
Oh,
see
yeah.
who's still on board and
Yeah,
who's
he's from
leaving.
the historical commission, so.
Right,
yeah.
so- and he said he would stay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
As far as I know, yeah. It's Kip, myself, and Andrew who are the appointed, the three at large.
Excuse me.
So we got to go on to treasurer,
5.
secretary, treasurer. Do I have some nominations for secretary?
Who is the secretary?
Mimi?
How good are you with?
Awful. I mean, I'm left-handed. I
the
mean,
thing is
what does that tell you?
We'll have someone to, yeah, maybe Megan, if she gets appointed, she will be our secretary.
Or if not, maybe she can continue to take minutes.
Yeah, so.
God
so
bless her.
So why don't we put that one on hold? Yeah. Okay,
Secretary,
okay.
how about treasurer?
Nomination for treasurer.
Mike.
I mean, I said I would do it for, you know, with Andrew for the year, but then you're gonna have to really think, whoever, I mean, I'll do it for the year if that's with the committee's approval, with Andrew's help, but make sure in the meantime that someone has to really step up and start paying attention to that, because I'll be done a year from now, so.
Well, we got a year. Second.
Aye.
Baber,
Aye.
There you go.
okay. All right. So the next thing is approval of, thank you, everyone, and good luck. I hope everything goes well. Now that everything's in place, it shouldn't be too bad, but really, because we did all the, I mean, we did some amazing things in the last couple of years, and, yeah, and well, no, and I mean all of us together. But I do have a suggestion, and this is for us to think about. Seeing that we are where we are in we didn't even start giving out money yet, we didn't finish the contracts, I would suggest that we don't do any applications this year and skip a year, and because then we'll have $1 million again, instead of just $500,000, and I don't know, that's something to think about. We don't have to decide tonight, but I'm just throwing that out there. And it's up to Amy, she has a lot on her plate, to be starting new applications to, for all of us to think about, so I'm just throwing that out there. Did you want to say something?
I just can't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
I'm interested to hear what Amy has to say, but also, the city solicitor, do we need to get her more on task?
I've been involved with her, so.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
so
you
that's-
use the mic, yeah. But we don't have to discuss it tonight even. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay,
Yeah, just think about it, yeah. Okay,
okay, all right.
all right. Okay, so approval of 5-7 minutes, do we have them?
No, we still don't have them. I
Okay.
emailed Meg, and I haven't heard from her. I don't know if she sent me another message, but,
That's okay. All right.
Madam
table.
Chairman,
We're only
table it
one
till-
behind, so that's good. We'll table those. Make a motion to table.
Make a motion, we table the approval of minutes till the next meeting.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Budget update,
yeah, so I can share some things about that. Let's see what I have here. Okay. So, because Andrew will still volunteer his time. And so I did meet with him, and we just, we did work on Excel sheets for, tracking the disbursements from the different projects and things like that. But also I found out from Tony, the assessor, what the projected amount is, because that's the next step, like what's the projected budget for funds, assuming we do fund new projects for the next funding round. And he said 500,000. Well, his estimate was actually 512,880. But there's also some leftover funds, remember, from this year, 43,651. So that makes just over 550,000. And then with the projected state match, which I checked on, that's 11.5% is the minimum anticipated. Remember last year it was actually 19%, because it could be a lot more, but you can't really count on that. So it seems to me that the estimated budget should be 600,000, but I'm waiting to hear back from Andrew on that, because then we'll sort of build the projected budget, I guess, that has to be approved by City Council.
they don't have to approve it, we just have to send them the information.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought there's like a budget article or something where we put what the projected budget is for the city.
They have
council.
to know what it is, that's
Okay.
all, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I'm just waiting to hear back from Andrew, and I didn't hear back from him on that. But that's what I think it looks like. It'll probably be more than 600,000, but I think that's makes sense. I think the projected amount could be either 550,000 or 600.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions on the budget at this time?
Oh, I might have one other thing, let's see. Okay, I think that's all I have, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move to the next item agenda, 43 Canal Street, the conditions for the city solicitor to draw up the contract.
Yeah, so we never actually finished going over that, and I have been in contact with Crystal, the city solicitor. But I did find out the answer to that question. I don't know if you remember from the last meeting where we were trying to figure out how the part about who will oversee the standards and whether or not he would hire an architect. And he actually did say, it's a good thing I said, let me go back and look at my emails, because I found the email where he actually did say that he would do that with his own funds. So let's see what I have for that. Let me find that. Okay, yeah, he stated in an email, this is Mike Moriarty, that he'd cover the cost of a consultant. So, of course, no other grant recipients are doing this. This is to make sure that, this consultant says, yes, this meets the U.S. Secretary of the Interior standards. But he did say he would like to use either any unspent funds from his CPA funded amount for it, or he could draw upon non-CPA sources. So it's up to you, this committee, if you would agree to that some of his unspent funds could go toward that, or if he should just, find another source to make sure that it meets the Secretary of the Interior standards.
Is this a historical project?
Yeah, remember 43 Canal Street? That's
Yes.
yeah.
And it's
with the
considered
stucco.
historical?
So
Okay.
he did actually say that he would hire a consultant to make sure that it meets the standards. But he was saying he hopes, if, is it okay with this committee to say that some of the funds that go towards this could pay for that? Like if there's unspent funds. So in other words, it would be in the contract.
Will that be the practice moving forward? Because it sounds like it sounds like they're the only ones doing it.
Well, actually, I have a whole lot more to say on this topic about historic that I've, have to share with you on it. Because actually, on this particular point, I'm glad you're saying that, is what I looked back at my notes, and Great Barrington just said what they did is they withheld the last 10% until that the project manager had an architect sign off on the fact that it meted the Secretary of the Interior standards. Although I heard that can be complicated, but that's one way it could be handled, is by withholding that last 10%.
It would be complicated for you to
Yeah.
make sure they're done. I think my suggestion would be that we do this case by case, that this is not going to be
Yeah, I think we
something
should
that we're gonna-
focus.
And,
Yeah.
and we allowed them a certain amount of money, and if it turns out that they only spend 75% of it, then we can discuss whether we want to let them use the rest of it towards that or not.
Yeah, I mean, the difference with this case is that he actually said he would do this. He volunteered it. So my thinking as well, he's offering, he even offered to do this, so that we should say yes, especially because there was a lot of question about making sure this really meets the standards.
But will it be a policy moving forward, though, is the question. So because he volunteered out of graciousness, you get what I mean? All right, so he could have came out and said, "Can I have the money for that?" But instead,
I
he said,
think
would
that
cover the
he
cost."
just didn't realize that was a line item he could have gotten.
Right. That's
Okay, so I think in the future, it's a fact that because we're just beginning to realize how to set up historical funding, that in the future, that would be a line item for them to put in, that, if we
Right.
need documentation, then we need to put a line. It's just like
That
open
makes-
space
yeah.
has to put in, we need signage. And so that's an extra amount of money that if you don't put it in, you're paying for it yourself, but you want to make sure it's part of your line items.
Right.
And so it's just everybody getting more educated as to how to fill out the applications for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really figure out how we're going to make sure that all the applicants meet the historic standards, but this applicant did say from the beginning in his proposal that he wanted, I mean, this is when he was asking for more funds, but he had it in there, you know, a historic architect or somebody to oversee that it, you know, that it's historically accurate.
But if it's an architect, are we allowed to do the funding for that? I mean, is that something that's
No,
allowed?
but he's saying that he would pay for it out of separate funds, but it would be very helpful if the committee agreed that if there's unspent funds, he can use them.
But can we do that for an architect person? Can we,
Why not?
I thought we couldn't fund an architect. I thought
Oh,
this-
well, it's not going to be an architect who will
Yeah, somebody to
be,
make sure that
it's
they
not
stay.
going to be a full-time, like, it's just only for this purpose. We can make it very clear, this
So-
is just going to be someone signing off on the fact that it meets the standards.
The rules allow us to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I mean, it's an administrative cost. But it's just that every CPA community does it differently. Sometimes the CPA community hires their own person to oversee all the projects. But in this case, he would be, this is our first time doing this, and he would be hiring somebody who I would ask to see that they have the right credentials, you know, to be the person to do that. But the question is, do you agree that he can use unspent funds? Because remember, he got 32,000 instead of the full ask, which was like 55,000. So if there's money left over, maybe you could specify how much he can spend on it. I don't know. Like if you're worried that it's going to be not a good use of the unspent funds, or you could just say he'll just pay for it through his own
It
funds.
seems-
He's fine with that.
It seems very complicated to me that we're going to take excess funds, if there are excess funds, and allow him to spend it to basically ensure that the work that he's doing or has done is in compliance with the rules that he's supposed to follow.
Okay, so then we could just say, let him pay for it out of his own funds, which he said he could do.
right, is it his unspent funds, CPA funds, or just CPA fund,
No,
unspent
his.
in general?
He was saying
Okay, we
his.
have to be specific.
Yeah, well, that is what I mean, of
So-
course it's not from,
He asked for 55,000, he got 32,
I thought he got the whole 55.
no. I meant if there's leftover from the 32,000.
32, yes.
But he said he is willing to pay for it out of other funds.
Well,
I thought he got the 55, but because he quoted and got it underbidded, it's at 32.
No, it was voted and approved by city council as 32,000.
Yes,
That was the amount, for just the stucco and the painting.
so
I remember voting on that.
I'm
We have
not
so much to
inclined to
discuss
say
and-
that that money could be diverted and be used to hire a consultant to,
Okay, so
Say-
just let him pay for it then. Okay,
and that's my opinion. I mean, I'm only expressing my own opinion about it and say, now, it leads
I
to,
just don't think that's fair that they have to pay it and nobody else has to pay it.
but it was something that he always had in his plan.
Whether it is or not, I'm just a person that's about
That's a-
fairness.
I mean, it's a good
I'm
point. It's
about
not-
fairness at the end of the
it's
day.
not a-
This is the
it's-
first time Holyoke has ever done it. That's how I feel in general. But hey,
I don't
it is
feel,
what it is.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's a very reasonable, I'm trying to simplify our lives a little bit, but I'm just as happy to, if there are excess money, if he saves some money, then on
then the
on the
other part
cost of
is-
what he's doing, he
the
wants
other
to
part
use
is-
some of that money.
The historic person he hires, is it going to be at his discretion? Because it's his money now,
Well,
right?
no, I'm saying he would use his own money, but maybe I would ask to see the resume. But if you think it's unfair, then maybe we could just, because I think Marco agreed that he would check to see if that project meets the standards, remember? Yes. He did say that. So we could just say, all right, it won't be necessary for you to do that because Marco already said that he would take a look at that. Part of why this, just so you know the background, Israel, part of why we're focusing on that is because there was some worry about this project.
I know the background. I saw
that it was
I saw the video because I
presented.
missed that meeting. But from the video that I saw there was some question as to whether or not the funds would be utilized a certain way, or if there's excess funds that they would somehow do something that may not be what we would like it to be.
Madam Chairman, or Mr. Chairman, excuse me for interrupting. I thought it was the CPA law that if you have an historical project, that you must hire a historical, registered in the state of Massachusetts, historical architect that could look at your project and say yay or nay, and that was mandatory. That wasn't up for option. That was one of the...
No, I mean, it's just that they're supposed to meet the standards, but it's up to the committee to figure out how the oversight works.
Amy, I thought it read they have to hire
No,
a third
there's
party.
nothing that says that.
Okay.
It's not spelled out like that at all.
Then it would be it's incumbent upon the person to make sure that he does it correctly. And if that means hiring somebody to
That's
verify
true.
it, then it's on him.
Well, that's true, but the difficulty is the oversight part, which is the part that, each CPA community has to determine how they're going to make sure that each of the applicants really do meet the standards. That's the tricky part. Yes, they can say that they will, and they have signed this contract, but who's going to make sure? But there's so much we have to discuss. I hope that we'll be able to move on, just because there's so much, and we missed last meeting. So, just so you know, there's a ton of stuff to talk about.
Are we ready to make a decision on this now?
Yes. Well, I mean,
Okay, so let me hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to allow them to use excess funds to hire a consultant to certify that it's been done in compliance with the Department of Interior standards.
Excess funds from their...
From the
Their project.
$32,000, right,
Yeah.
from their allocation.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion?
For this particular project, this is not a stated policy. This is just this particular project.
Right.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda.
Oh, we didn't finish this item, sorry to interrupt, because remember when we went through the conditions, we actually didn't get past that one point last time we met, so let's see. Sorry, I thought I had, here they are, okay. So you can each take one. It shouldn't take too long to just finish going through this. This is based on,
Thank you, guys.
So it's not 3,200, it's 32,000?
it's 32,000, oh, sorry, please correct that. It's 32,000, not
3,200.
not 3,200. And we already looked over the second column. We've already talked about that, I think. Let me just look at the other bullet points. This is pretty much similar to the other ones. Yeah, so now we're really looking at the last two columns, the deadlines for each phase, to see if this is just sort of what I put out there, but you can tell me, so I can tell Crystal what you want.
Did he say he was going to be ready this month? I mean, that's not going to happen now, July 2019.
Right, that's true. So maybe we could put August 2019 or even September. What do you think?
September.
Okay.
That's okay with everyone?
Madam Chairman, the starting time is September 2019?
Yes. That's my suggestion. Anything else in that second column?
And then the last column, what do you think about reports?
Do you want to scratch September and just go to December?
Oh, right, okay. So should we have the first one December?
Yep.
So, can I ask a logistics question? Is the project going to be 100% complete before they get reimbursed any money?
No, they will get reimbursed as they go, but they do, every recipient has to put, pay their bills, and then they send the invoice to me with the copies of the checks. I look to see, is this really according to the work they're supposed to do? And then I put in a requisition order, and they get reimbursed.
Progress billing.
Right. Nobody's expected to, yeah.
So
They'll get reimbursed as they go.
and that's separate from requiring reports.
Requiring what?
Reports.
Yeah, this is more like a report, just a brief, few sentences, maybe a photo, I don't know, that they would have to,
Okay.
so that I can update you and share the information on how it's going, that work is really happening.
Okay.
So are those good dates then? December, although this continues until December 2020, so I don't know how many reports we want.
Well, we need to change those dates. They're December 2019, but then you want March 2020,
Oh, okay, that was the mistake, okay.
So,
June 2020.
so I just have a question. Riding through some of the surrounding towns who have CPA projects going on right now, they all have, almost all of them, have like a banner put up
Thank you.
that says thank you to the, so,
We have that.
so we have that already
Well,
discussed.
we discussed that, but there is a little more that could be ironed out with that, which I could get to, but that is in every contract that they're supposed to have a sign. But what I did learn about that is the sign is a lot more expensive than you might think
So
for
which-
each.
Nah, the one she's talking about is just a cheap little banner.
They're
that is
actually
just-
more expensive than you'd think. Yeah, I've
It's
talked to
actually like
Stuart
150
Sagan, or
bucks.
even a
I've bought 'em
banner,
before multiple times.
which is why I brought up, sorry?
They're like $150 to $200. I've bought them several times in many different events that I've hosted in Holyoke. They're actually banners that actually, I don't know if HCAC is still open, Holyoke Creative Arts Center. I seen it in Northampton too. When I drive by to UMass, when I go to work every day, there's one that says, "Thank you,
Right.
CPA. Your dollars go to this." I think what you're speaking of is the plaque.
No,
That's
well,
actually
it can be either.
the concept.
Yeah, it can be either. The banner's fine, but the point is that most of these communities, like the one you're talking about, the CPA community paid for that out of their admin budget. And what they do is they have, they hold on to
Okay.
them, they give them to the applicant to display, and
While
then
they're
they
building?
take them
Okay.
back. So but what you've all decided to do is to have every applicant, every award, recipient pay for their own sign and put it up. And it's sort of unclear how long they should have it, and what type of sign. So,
You could do both.
In the future, we should put aside some money so that we have a couple.
well, we could even do that this year. You could do that this year. Because, well, now there's, a new amount of money. So you could decide to just do that. Although I don't know, I guess if you have these signs that you rotate, they can't be specific. They can't say the name of the project
No,
specifically on them.
they're not, they're generic.
Right.
They just say,
So,
"Thank you,
right,
this is
because
what's."
they're reusing those,
Yeah.
and their admin is probably paying for it, so they're committed.
So they probably purchase like 5 or 7 of them, and every project that goes out, they hand them out. Leave this up while the project is going on.
Right, so maybe we should do it that way. This is one of the ideas I
That could
brought
probably
up
come out of
earlier.
marketing or whatever.
What?
I think that's a better idea because we were all over the place
Right.
about the other
Okay.
kind of sign.
Yeah.
Well,
Now-
I mean,
now
I'm
the-
not, yeah.
The open space sign for Glowtech property will be an actual,
Sign,
wooden
right.
sign kiosk. But for something that's just, here's our project and thank you, I think.
Right,
something we should just pass along.
I think we could do both, to be honest, because one of them we're paying for and the other one they're paying for. So the one that we're paying for is just, it's temporary, and the other one's permanent. When the project is done, the unveiling happens, they can put that one up. They can fund that one. The one that while the project like under construction,
Or we're not gonna
if they
tell
want,
them.
right?
Are we gonna
I
tell
don't know.
them to?
I thought we did. I thought that's what it was.
I don't think we decided.
Well, what you all told me is that you wanted them to pay for their own sign, and they should just have a sign that stays up there until it falls down,
Right.
which is kind of vague.
So,
So that's,
Close enough.
yeah, so
But-
like, yeah, in different communities that I've seen CPA, I've seen both signs. I've seen the one where this is being built with, it's like an under construction sign, and then when it's done, I've seen the actual, this money was built with, thank you to CPA members, or whatever it is, and then it has the city and the emblem
which
or
community
whatnot.
did you see that in?
In Northampton, I've seen it.
I wonder who's paying for the final sign.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Find out.
But, I mean,
Well, the
they could
final
probably
signs on
pay it.
Open space is almost always paid for by the existing land trust that's working on it, because of course it's for them, showing that they've done
Right.
work in that area. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
about, like if it's a historic project, they might want to put a little plaque, which is a lot less expensive.
Well, also a banner would look ugly in front of a beautiful historic building, you know.
Well, I think a banner while the project. is
While the
going on,
project
Right,
is
I
going
agree
on.
with you. That's what I think too. So I think for that,
lets people knowing.
Yeah.
and then maybe for the projects where a lot of money is going, they should pay for a permanent, I mean, like I know you, Elaine, brought up how the Victory Theater, you wanted them to have some kind of permanent sign. I guess they're getting, was it 150, or I forget how much they're getting, 100,000.
If they start the project next year.
Well, no,
They're
you
gonna-
only
I mean,
you only
They're gonna
confirmed.
come
it.
back to us.
Right,
every
but
year.
you've only approved, it's only been approved for
Even
one.
that is worth a sign.
You're right. Oh, yeah.
So
Within your budget.
I need to know all of this now, though, like which ones do you all agree then that I need to know what do you want, like the idea that we were talking about with the rotating signs so that we could reuse them from different projects? Number one, do you agree with that? Because then that will change the contract. And then we could put in the contract which ones need to have a permanent sign.
I'm kind of confused, but I guess.
See, this is
Well,
what I mean.
it's what you were
about not
talking
being
about.
ready
So
to
that's two
go
of the
on
same.
You
to
said
new
that you saw that
applications.
some of these projects then had a permanent sign.
Yeah, the permanent sign.
Later
So
on.
yeah. So
So all I'm
the
saying is-
rotating one is just the one while the project is
Right.
going on.
So
right?
my first question is, do you want to do it that way instead of saying they have to pay for that? Shall we just do the rotating signs that,
Both. Keep the existing sign
Right.
requirement that they each install a permanent
Right.
sign saying this project was funded by
Uh-huh.
CPA. But then also, the CPA committee has the right to hang a temporary banner there that says, thank you,
This is-
Citizens of Holyoke, funded by Community Preservation Act. And we can put it there for as long as we want.
During
We
construction.
won't want to put it there for long, but we have the
Yeah.
right to put it
but it
there
will
for as
be
long.
temporary during the construction?
Correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay, but they each should also still, okay, so we're keeping what's in the contract but adding something else?
Yes.
Okay, does everybody agree?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you
man,
could put a vote to it, but.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
And-
then we're
and
not
so-
obligated to do it if we,
This
if we
banner
want.
would be paid for by CPA then?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
provided by the CPA to them.
Provided by, yes.
We're gonna hand them what we want them to hang up.
right. That sounds a lot
So we
better.
need to order banners?
So it could cost like $1,000 or something because there's
Yeah.
10 or 11.
10,000, we don't wanna spend the money on it. we
Right,
won't.
right.
Uh-huh,
But if it's reasonably priced and we think as a committee we agree it's worth,
okay.
And I would ask Crystal if we have to put that in black and white.
We
in the
don't, I don't think we
contract,
do if we're buying it,
Because
right?
we might not do it sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes
if
well,
we're-
I think that's
Well, I
the thing,
think
we have
just-
the right to do.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Oh, the right.
It'd be
there you
good
go.
to have it.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing that I'm still confused about is that if everybody else has to have a permanent sign, say it's like Chestnut Street or, the stained glass windows, where are they going to put a permanent sign, and would that really be, I don't know if, like, that might be asking a lot to have some permanent sign, where would it?
Getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
too.
No, what I mean, when I say asking a lot, I don't mean it that way. I mean that you also have to think about the aesthetics of the historic projects. And just, if they put up some cheap sign.
We're not, like a little plaque. A
Little
plaque.
green plated sign,
But if it's some work that's done, like, say, Chestnut Street on the facade, where would the plaque
a
go?
little plaque. Yeah, Yeah.
Front door.
Well, that might conflict with Secretary of the Interior standards.
Okay, so
To have a
then
plaque.
Crystal can put language in there that says,
okay.
hang a sign unless it's in conflict with
Uh-huh.
the Secretary
Okay,
of the Interior
okay.
rules and
All right.
regulations.
Well, maybe you could put it inside when people are going into the building.
Yeah.
So that way it
And
doesn't
if he
mess
comes
up.
here,
Yeah.
Right.
he can let us know how he feels.
I think we
Okay.
have to be flexible about
Okay,
it.
so
Right,
back
of
to
course.
the reports, though. What do we want? December 2019, March 2020, June 2020? Do you, and then do another one on September? This is a lot of reports. Maybe
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
don't need
say.
this many. How many, which ones would you want?
Scratch out March. I would do December and June.
When they write the cover letter in the outline for the
Thing is,
request for
I would
documentation.
check with.
And then the
Mike
final
Moriarty.
report?
Yeah, I
that
would check
report.
with Mike Moriarty, because he.
Oh, well, he'll be consulted, you know, they'll be looking at the contract
Right,
together, so.
Yeah, because, yeah, so we can, all right. as long
But
as
you
he
can still
say-
say what your preference is.
Okay, because he's not gonna be done a year from now probably, because we're running late here, so.
So do you want to say December 2019, June 2020, and then the final report?
The end of
That sounds
the year.
good.
20
July 30th?
December 2020.
Well, or just the final
But
report?
if it's finished, so how about if we say,
Oh, the final report, yes,
a
yes.
final report, okay, so December 2019,
Right.
June 2020,
Mm-hmm.
a final report 30 days after completion of the work,
Mm-hmm.
or no later than December 30th, 2020. Right, so if they haven't finished the work, we want to report by the end of the year.
Good idea.
Wait, or no later than,
These dates are tentatively, right?
December 30th, 2020?
Yeah, if, right.
31st.
Oh. Okay. Okay, I thought that it could be due 30 days after the estimated deadline, like 30 days after December 31st. I thought that's what we said with the other contracts.
After
Just said
completion
30
of
days
work.
after completion,
Right, but Kip just said,
Or no later than,
but no later than December 31st.
He still wants to keep in the 30 days after completion of work. And then, if they're not done by then no, we want a final report by December of 2020. If they're not done their work by then, why not?
oh, if the work's not done?
And,
Okay.
and then still a final report.
Oh, I see what you mean.
After they
Okay.
complete it.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So, we could do it another way, at the top, you could say, December 19, June 2020, December 2020, unless a final report has already been submitted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds good. All right, so we can move on from that, I think.
So that's everything on that issue, there, all the conditions for 43 Canal Street
done.
have been
Yep.
Agreed.
determined by the board, now subject to negotiation with the recipient and the law department.
Yeah, I'll just look over because I see, she just gave me all the contracts on Friday after I had given her feedback, so I still have to read through. But I'll add on, and she hasn't started working on this one since we didn't go through it. So yeah, I'll give her all this information, yeah, and she'll then do it, yeah.
Okay, item 5,
Okay.
updates.
Yes, all right, so first I want to mention the stained glass windows project. Okay, wait, hold on, I'm looking at my notes, I have so many notes. Okay, actually, no, the first thing I want to bring up is that, you know how the city council put in these orders in writing for the recommendations from you that they approve? And I had to get those from Ryan. So I was looking through them, and the one for 123 Pine Street says that the money,
He has to be here. We have to have a quorum.
oh,
Oops.
Amy, what?
That's the Alpine Apartments. It's the one where the Mark HRA is doing. I may not have it listed there. I'm just telling you, I don't have it listed there. It's not listed there, Rosemary, because I hand wrote this. Yeah,
He'll be back in a couple, he has to
Okay.
use the bathroom.
thanks. It seems like the air conditioner went off, but maybe
It
it's.
did, it reached whatever temperature you put it on. Do you want him to turn it on?
No, it's okay.
I'm fine.
It's okay right now, we'll see, hopefully it doesn't build up. Do you want Olivia to come in and sit with us, or about the stained glass, do you want Olivia to come in and sit with us?
Oh, sure. I'm not quite up to that one yet, but if you like.
I thought you said you were gonna talk about the stained glass.
Yeah, that is on there.
Hi, Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
Okay. Warm.
Did you bring iced tea?
No. Cocktails later.
Yeah, always.
Always, yeah. A little gin and tonic.
Oh, yeah. Sounds refreshing.
Okay, take care of it.
Okay.
So it's good.
All right, so I'll start with the easy ones. Okay, so the first is that first of all, Glue Tech Woods, we do not need any
We did
grant.
The stained glass, you said you were gonna talk about stained glass, so do it while she's here, and do that one next.
Okay, this is really quick, it's just informational. We don't need any grant agreement for Glue Tech Woods
Okay,
because it's owned by the city and, there's no need, so just letting you know.
Don't need any what, I'm sorry?
There's no grant agreement needed for that one, that project. Okay, so we'll go to the stained glass windows, yeah. So the stained glass windows, I've been in touch with Mike and with Olivia, and we had discussed in the past when we were talking about the conditions for this project, that Mike mentioned that if they don't have enough money to do all 3 windows, that if there's extra money that, has been allocated for them, that maybe they could use it for crating of windows, because you can think of that as part of the restoration process. But also the update with this project is that 55,000, right, Olivia, has been, you received 55,000.
55,000 came from Mass Historic Commission. And then we got a little surprise from another proposed 50,000 from Aaron Vega. So it's earmarked, but it's proposed, so.
So it's not
when the state
definite.
budget goes through, if that happens, we're flush. It's 180,000.
Yeah,
Which is
great.
which is more than we asked for. So,
Okay.
and so that would cover the 3 windows. And whatever else Mike can keep it in his stained glass window fund for future crating and prep
so
and transportation.
All of our funding would be used for the stained glass windows, so we really don't have to change anything, because you can use the state money to do the crating and all that, and we don't.
Right.
Well, but is he sure? Because in his email, he says, we are looking into the 50,000 earmark from Representative Vega's office to see how it would apply to this project, as if he is still not sure. Do you know that?
It's not, the budget hasn't passed yet, so it's proposed. So it's earmarked for the stained glass.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How much did CPA award to?
75.
75.
We asked for, and we asked for a match from Mass Historic for another
And you got
75.
shorted there, but if you did another 50.
Right, so that put us over the top. Yes. Well,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
so currently the 3 windows that we're talking about, 9, 11, and 12, are already crated and upstairs on the 2nd floor. So they've been crated for probably a year, 2 years, something like that, since Julie Sloan was here.
Right. And Mike said here that Julie Sloan contacted the bidders from the previous project and said that each window would be around $55,000 for restoration. And he said, we also need to pay for Julie's contract with this money. He said, ideally, we'll be able to restore all three with the available funds. If there isn't enough money, we would request that some funds be used to protect the existing windows from further deterioration. This is done by removing the windows, making an inventory, and storing them in crates until they can be professionally refurbished. Protecting the windows is an essential part of the restoration process. If the existing windows were still in their original location, they would need to be removed, inventoried, and placed into crates for shipping to be professionally refurbished. One way to look at it is all of the CPA dollars will be used for window restoration. If there isn't enough funds to restore all the windows, I guess he meant to say we would have the other funds for storage. So I had brought this up before, and Mike Sullivan, I think, said he wasn't comfortable with that unspent funds could be used for crating.
But he's talking about the state unspent funds, not ours.
No, he's talking about ours.
Now, our 75,000 is gonna be
Being
used to
totally
restore
spent.
the windows.
Right.
No, but what what he wants to know, what he's saying is if for some reason, say not enough of this 50,000 is, if for some reason they don't have, let's see. Let me think
Well,
about
actually, you don't have to worry about these three windows
Okay.
because they're already crated.
it. All right, well,
It's already been done.
No, but what Mike was talking about to me was that there are other windows,
Well, then
not
that's
just,
a whole other project
Well,
that
he-
he has
he-
to apply
okay.
for the next round.
Then
of
we have to
funding.
put in that round for the cost of crating and transportation. So that has to go into the next
So,
round.
yeah, what Mike Sullivan was saying is that he don't want them to save money for the next time, I think.
Right.
I think it's have them come back and apply again.
So let me try to do a simple analysis here. So if you get the $50,000 from the state, you'll have enough money to do three windows.
Correct.
If you don't get the $50,000 from the state, you're gonna have enough money to do two windows.
Probably.
So two windows at $55,000 apiece is $110,000. The $75,000 of CPA money is gonna be spent on either two or three windows.
Right,
100% of it is gonna be spent.
Right, right.
Yes.
What are we talking
well,
about?
what he's concerned about, Mike, when I spoke, I ran into him as he was coming in, through the hallway, is that if they don't have the right amount to restore all three windows, that he would like the amount left over from what, the CPC granted them to be used to store.
There won't be any.
Well, this is what he's saying.
Okay, so what,
I think he,
right, you understand.
There won't be any what?
yes.
Olivia will explain it to him.
Yeah.
Well, then why did he send this email? You can look at the email.
He's
Well-
thinking all the money's in a pool. It's not,
Yeah, it's not. in the
it's-
pool, yeah.
it's,
He has to work that
spend the CPA 75 grand first.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Yes.
solves our
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once you spend the 75 first, then whatever
We
else is
don't
left.
care
is
what
yours.
else happens out of
Oh,
the
I
rest
see
of
what
the
you're
budget.
saying. He's thinking that, okay, he doesn't realize
Yeah,
that
like-
part of that 75,000 can go towards restoring the other windows.
But it's gonna be,
Like after 55,000. He's thinking that,
We don't care.
the 75 will be spent on either
Windows.
two windows
Or three windows.
Whichever one.
That's it. So the CPA money will be spent on the windows.
okay.
Anything else that he's getting?
Whatever
any other
commingling of
places,
funds he's doing, we don't care
we don't
about.
care.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He needs to work that out on his own. We're giving
I mean, I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, yeah.
just for the
Because if you're saying matching, right, we were matching this 75 with another 75.
Right,
You could
right.
think about, 50 cents of each dollar coming from each place. Don't account it that way. Account for the first 75
Right,
grand, you
it's-
spend
it's
100% of
ours.
CPA money, and whatever money you have left over, and however you want to spend it,
That's how you
we
spend
don't
it.
care.
He also,
But
when we spoke to Bob Parent, the new engineer,
Yep, the underneath.
yesterday, he said he's meeting with Julie Sloan and Mike McManus this week to look at the windows and discuss this, the bid that has to go out for the restoration, because with that amount of money, it has to go out to bid. It can't automatically go to Serpentino Studios,
Yep.
the past bidders. This booklet I can send to you it outlines all the windows individually. This is done in 2011.
Yes, under my,
That's okay.
So I just have to know this
I have it already.
in order
Yeah.
to tell the city
Wheel
solicitor.
of progress moves slowly sometimes, huh, Mayor?
Progress.
So I think this round,
Can I just rephrase what you said to make sure I understand it so I can tell the city solicitor? Because,
You don't have to tell her anything.
no, I do, because,
Nothing's gonna change, though, for us. You understand that? Nothing is gonna change for us.
well, he wants to know, Mike wants to know,
Mike
If-
McManus
Yeah, Mike.
McManus wants to know
He can
if
do
there's
what
any money left over of the 75,000 that cannot, wait, let me finish the sentence.
I understand where
Can I please finish, though? I just want to finish my sentence. That if some of it's left over that can't go towards the completion of a window, you're saying it would because of these other funds. Okay.
No, it has nothing to do with the other funds.
No.
Amy,
What
You're
she's,
not
Yes.
understanding this.
We're giving them 70, that's why I did the math. They want to do 3 windows, right?
Right.
And their budget was $150,000. They thought they could get 50% match. They wanted 75 from CPA.
Right.
We gave them 75.
Right.
He's got to spend that 75 on the windows. If he does 2 or 3 windows, that 75 grand is going to get consumed. And then whatever
For the
money he
window.
has left,
Left is not our money.
whatever money
No, he
he has left,
knows
he can
that.
spend any way he wants.
He knows that.
yeah, that has nothing to do with
There's
it.
he'll have a contract with Mass Historic and
Okay.
the state, so that's his issue. But your 75,000 from CPA
Okay.
is going to go
So
first.
just so I understand,
Spent to create.
that the 75,000 should only go towards restoring the windows and not towards crating.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yes, and this one, nothing changes. Okay, good. Anything else on the stained glass?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Anything you want to add, or Olivia, or?
Well, it's Smith's Ferry issue is, Tamara was hoping to come July to start on the cemetery. Can she start?
No, not until the contract
She has
is
to have a
signed.
contract?
Yeah, I asked Crystal, and, I mean, you can do that, but you'll be taking a little bit of a gamble, that's all, I mean, it's up to you, but,
It's not,
Well,
I don't think you can even do that.
well, what Crystal said to me is, applicants can do that, but they can't be guaranteed reimbursement until the contract is signed, so it's just not advisable,
What's the holdup on the contract?
Well, we're discussing all these things right now, so that the holdup is finding out.
No, on that one,
No.
on that issue, do you have a draft of that contract?
She just sent me the final now, so it's taken this long for her to return it, and also, so for that particular contract, I can tell her that that's a priority, because you wanna, get started on that.
yes,
And I'll,
we
response.
could book her for, I'll just tell her to wait until there's a contract.
But tell Crystal to get it going.
Well, she's just waiting for the final okay for me, and as I said, she only sent me this stuff on Friday, so I haven't had a chance to look through them, but I'll do that one next, and I'll tell her, this one's good to go, and hopefully she can
Okay,
get that rolling.
all right, good. Thank you.
All set?
Okay, all set.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Olivia,
you.
for coming.
You're welcome.
There at Smith Ferry. A nice fence up there,
Yeah.
What a nice banner.
some tree work up there.
Yeah, but Parks and Rec can do that.
They can put a fence up?
They can do a new fence, they're gonna put a sign.
Oh, they're gonna do it? They're gonna put, okay, good.
They have funds to do
Good,
that.
I hate
so-
chain link fences, I have a
I
thing
know, I
about chain
know.
link fences, and that's such a really cool spot, it's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah.
Be nice to have a nice fence there. All right, we're going to put a new fence up.
Okay.
Tell him I said it.
If you see
All right.
Popo, can
gotta
you tell him it's
tell Terry
hot in here?
I'm right here. I told Terry.
You can do it.
Glad you came. Turn that air up.
Bye, Olivia.
Thank you.
Bye, Olivia. Thanks for coming.
All right, what else?
Okay, so the next thing is that I was looking through the city council orders that approved the recommendations for each of these awards. And there, you remember Mike Sullivan had it on the agenda and, you know, he was the one presenting? Well, he must have told them Voces de Esperanza was the award recipient for 123 Pine Street, but that's not right, and that really has to be corrected. And I emailed Mike Sullivan, but he hasn't responded. I was hoping he'd be here. It should be Valley Opportunity Council, and there is time to correct that for that particular contract, but it has to be corrected because Voces de Esperanza is not the developer. They're not, you know, that's just the building owner or whatever. They're not the developer. So it's like you could think of it as a clerical mistake that they just have to
They'll
vote to
have to
approve.
put that order in at the next city council meeting. to make
Yeah,
that
so
change.
if you have a way to get in touch with Mike Sullivan to, okay, because he hasn't responded, yeah.
Okay, so you want, so just to change it from, to change it to Valley Opportunity.
Right, it should be awarded to Valley Opportunity Council. In our contract, we're going to have to say that HRA is presiding over it, and that's going to be a complicated contract because it's like a three-way type thing, so she's still working on that one.
Okay, so that, the only
But,
thing I want to
yes,
know, Mike, is just.
Valley Opportunity Council, it really,
Project is that? Which one is that?
that's the 123 Pine Street, which is half historic, half housing, yeah.
I'll call him tomorrow.
I know that.
Thank you, that'll be great. Okay, and then the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club, Meg called to my attention, I think it was maybe a few weeks ago, someone on Facebook messaged her and asked about how many hours is that playground going to be open to the public? Because, you know, this is the largest amount that you've awarded. It's it's $359,000, and that's a detail that we didn't really, look into, basically, and it will be open to the public every weekend, year-round, but, you know, and it will be open during the week, the school year, from like the morning till 3 o'clock. But all the other times, it's closed to the public because they have activities. They have, you know, they're running their programs.
They didn't explain that.
Yeah, that wasn't explained in the beginning.
It's gonna be open to the
Nah.
public all the time.
That's barely even open to the
Yeah,
public.
that's sort of what I thought, you know, because they said, oh, the school bus stops there and the kids get off and go, so but,
I could understand the opposite, like AM to 3 p.m. or till 4:30 till their after-school programming ends. But then after that is membership. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club for a long time. I understand what happens at 5:30, 6 o'clock. That's teen center hours. Everybody from the community comes and attends. If they're going to run different programs and all the other stuff, that's a different concept,
Oh.
and that's awesome.
There's a time where it's open to the public?
No, well, nah. I mean, the spot across the street, it's always been open to the public from 5 or 6
Oh, across
on.
the street?
Yeah, but that's what we're remodeling across the street. We're not actually remodeling the club.
No, it's the
It's the
park.
park, the basketball court across the street, and then the little sprinkler set that they're trying to build right on the other side. So you're gonna have a sprinkler set that the kids across the street cannot use.
But it's, I don't know, I'm curious to hear what
No,
you're
because
saying.
because the Newton Street is right there, right? The kids from Newton Street, when I grew up at the Boys and Girls Club, the kids from Newton Street, Newton Street is runs parallel to what used to be Commercial Street and now Nick Cosmo's Way, right? So it runs parallel to it. When I was a kid, you get bused from the flats up to there, but the Newton Street kids used to play in that basketball court constantly. They're always in that park.
Is there still a fence around it? Because there is a
Yeah,
fence
there's always been a
around it.
fence,
And
but
it
there's no gate that locks.
Oh,
Like, it's always been open to the public. And if it's Boys and Girls Club property, then I guess it's their property, right? You can do whatever you want. But if you're taking city money
when was it open
to
the
remodel
public?
it, it's a different concept.
When was it open to the public?
Oh, it's open
All
right
the
now.
time. Amy, it's
All the
always
time?
open.
Always been like that.
Always open.
So what would be acceptable? I mean, what would be reasonable hours to impose? And then maybe I'm happy to have a conversation with
Eileen?
Eileen
Yeah.
about it and just say, this is a concerns, this is what we were thinking. Does this or does this not work for you, and why doesn't it? If it doesn't?
So for me, I think if it's being used and utilized by a program, then obviously the community can't use it, right? It's being used, they have an after-school program, they have membership, they're running actual basketball tournaments or league or whatever they're doing, there's people out there and they're using it, then you got that. I respect that when it comes to that extent. But if it's not being utilized,
But are you saying that there were times when anybody would walk in and play at the
anybody
same
can go
time
to,
as...
Maxwell Perez used to play basketball.
No, at the same time as a program was being run in one part of the playground?
Right now, you can do that.
Oh.
Right now, you can do
Well,
that. And I can see how they're trying to change that, and I respect that, because there are certain things that you can't control that is not a part of your program, so you're trying to control that by doing that. I understand that, and I respect it. But to say that no one can use it, and if no one is using the park, like, you're literally going to be able to call the cops on little kids for trespassing for using the park.
They're acting like the way she presented it to me is that the gates can lock and she can open them, so I didn't know.
They probably could. They're probably going to have locks now, but I'm going to tell you, my whole life has
No,
never
I
been
know.
locked.
So this is really important to know, and yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about this. Well, we have clarification. She did mention also the legal ramifications. Well, no, it wasn't just the other day, but, we couldn't meet at the last meeting. It's because we didn't have, so she's also concerned, if like there are injuries of these other children or whatever, but if this has been the way that they've done it,
Why does that apply
a
to
little bit
us?
blindsided.
Madam Chairman, excuse me for interrupting, why does that apply to us? That's the nature of
Of
the Ohio
any,
Boys
yeah.
and Girls Club Legal Counsel and how they conduct their business. It's got nothing to do with us.
It is because we have to make sure that this is a public benefit.
It will be. It's
But
open
it's-
right now. We could all go down there and have a meeting in the
No,
middle of
but
the court.
what she's saying is that it will only be open during very
Right,
limited
they're
hours.
no longer going to be open like that. And I had
That's what she's saying, and I didn't
Find that
know
hard to
it was a
believe.
change
It's gonna be
until
open.
you told me.
It's going to be open.
No, this
so
is
that
what she told me.
I think we should have a clarification with them, because if they're going to be, let's say, Monday through Friday, it sounds, according to this, it says Monday through Friday, from 3 p.m. till on, the park will be closed.
Yes,
during
that's what's
school
in our
years, right?
contract
But
right now.
kids go to school from 8 a.m. till 3.
Right.
I would think it would be the opposite.
didn't go to school that day,
Right.
use it.
They could use it, right?
Or I was thinking, no, what I was thinking, it's only
Go to
like
school, come
little,
out there,
Rosemary,
no.
it's only little kids who are too young to go to school who could use it.
But they have programming for kids like that. That's why I would think that from the morning till 4 p.m., then yeah, nobody can use the park. And I respect that, because kids should not be in the park anyways. You should be at school, after school program, whatever it is, or whatever. But if you're going to say the opposite, their after school program, which is EEC funded or whatever, ends around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
So that's what you're
So
saying. And
I'm saying
after that,
it should be open.
Until what time?
Unless they're
Dark?
using, it's about 10, 9:30, 10
Would
o'clock.
they have lights?
I don't know. They probably will have lights after it gets rebuilt.
I think light is in the proposal.
So,
They used to have lights.
They used to, yep. But
So
it-
you're saying they could open it after like 4 or 5 o'clock?
and really what you're saying is it's okay to close it when you're running a program there.
Yeah.
But when there's not a program running, from sunrise to sunset, we want public access.
It should be, especially if you're gonna have sprinklers there. There's gonna be kids in the community that live. There's a lot of buildings there.
So, okay.
That's the only thing to
I
me.
think that
Like,
is
I
very
agree.
reasonable.
I agree with shutting down access to other people when they're running program, because you don't want
Right, of course.
outside interferences and other. I respect that. I
You don't want to
understand.
compete for the space, right? It's like, hey,
And
this
there's
is part of-
sometimes when you go over there and you try to tell somebody to leave the court, it's not an easy experience.
course.
It's not an easy
Never
experience.
easy to get me to
right,
leave
right,
sometimes
yeah.
either, you know?
But like, if nobody's using it,
Right.
So when do those programs usually end? You're saying like 4 or 5 o'clock, and that's when they could open it to the public?
they have a variety of programs.
I'm gonna go
Yeah,
talk
it'd
to
be better.
Eileen. I'll
Yeah,
give her a
would you-
call.
that would
I'll
be
go see
great
her.
if you would do
Now,
that.
the question that I have is, if this issue was resolved, are all the other terms of their contract been negotiated
Yeah.
and accepted?
Actually, in fact, I already gave the okay on it, and now I have to tell her, no, we have to talk to Eileen more, because it says what she told me, that, it's going to be, what I told you, that it's only going to, it's going to be closed to the public for,
To Crystal. When you say to her, you meant to the city solicitor.
yeah, I've already.
Eileen seen
Okay,
this?
Eileen told me this I asked her, what hours is it open to the public? I told her, and I was a little surprised, and I then told her, Crystal, and she put it in the contract, which I
My
okayed.
question is, has Eileen seen that contract yet?
No,
Okay.
no.
So it's a draft, but as far as you and Crystal were concerned, the draft was finalized.
Right, I just
needed
today.
to go to Eileen
Today.
for her review. And the only reason I asked this question is because I know they wanted to get going right away on construction, right? They
I
were
mean,
looking-
I hope she didn't immediately, in this one day, already share it with Eileen. I doubt it, but I sent it like this afternoon.
Well, I mean, even if she said it's still in a draft form, it can
Yeah.
still be changed.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no, it's
Okay,
not a
so
bait and switch.
I'll
It's
tell
just-
her, please hold on that until,
Just, it's
Okay.
only gonna be a day. I will
until I
get
hear from you.
I will get
on-
to Eileen
Okay.
and
Because I did
Talk to her
contact
about-
Eileen, but then I wasn't able to talk to her about it.
Right,
And
yeah.
Crystal said, oh, you can't really change it now. She acted like it was
terms
too
are
late.
it's reasonable public access, right? This doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's not on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well-
seemed, we seem to focus more
That's a
on
lot of
not
money to,
demolishing the
like-
playground, but it never occurred to us that the playground wouldn't be open for more
Well,
hours.
you don't expect to be open 24 hours a day, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
And you don't expect it to be open when
No,
they're running
right,
programs.
right.
But
Yeah,
there's
what
a
she's
difference
saying
between
is during,
that
she
and
even said
those-
during the summer, it would only be open to the public on weekends.
Because
they're-
during the summer, they have their summer program and it's all day. But it's only till
But you
5.
think during the
It's only till
school
5
year?
though.
5, then it should open
Then it
to
should
the
be
public.
open.
After 5, it should open. Well, maybe she
I mean,
does,
unless they have some,
Yeah, I think we're making too much out of this than
maybe
than it is.
maybe she's okay with that. And we just need
I-
clarification.
It'd be better to just talk to them. To have the
Just
conversation.
clarification from Eileen, and let's
Although,
move on.
what you're saying is that you actually saw programs going on at the same time as kids in the neighborhood using
I
it.
mean, it's always been like that since I was a kid growing up. But I could see why they're gonna move away from that.
I
I
see.
respect that. Like, I understand that. If I
Okay.
had my own program, I want to
Yeah.
like. It's.
Okay.
I'm trying to create some sort of
Yeah.
culture, and I
Yeah.
can only control the people that are in my program.
Yeah.
So like, I understand why they're moving towards that. Like,
Okay.
I get that. But it's
Okay.
just if the weekend comes and it's Saturday, and Friday, and nobody's using the court or nobody's using the sprinklers. You're gonna make them walk to over here to Heritage Park to use the sprinklers? Like,
And especially now that it's really a desirable place for kids to
I'll
go.
have a pool for the next year and a half.
Yeah, I think they're reasonable. I mean, we're not talking about the
No, yeah, I know
Pentagon.
that.
We're talking about reasonable. Eileen, the staff, they're pro-kid, I mean, all the way. So I think it's going to work out. I think we're,
Okay, so you'll let me know, right? And, good. All right, so then, this is a big issue that I've been talking to Crystal about, to do with the historic projects and the need for restrictions. I know I've talked to you all about this, and you are not keen on the idea of putting in, recording restrictions on the historic projects, meaning because you're concerned about the cost involved, because it might require hiring a preservation consultant. Do you remember this conversation?
yes.
Okay. Well, I've talked to Stuart, and also, there's a new person, Ben Murphy, who worked for the Springfield CPA, and he was really kind of shocked that we're considering not requiring restrictions for the whole historic projects, because, remember the anti-aid amendment that says you can't just, give public funds, to some private group. There has to be a public benefit. Well, that's the issue with the historic projects, is there needs to be a public benefit. So that's the reason for having a restriction. And I explained this I talked to Stuart Saganor, and he really thinks that that's important to do, and he understands like what your concern might be, but he said, well, then maybe start with requiring a restriction for one of the projects, and then we would see what the process is like and do it for future ones. Crystal wrote to me that she does agree that we should have restrictions. So this doesn't mean, a perpetual restriction, which is like through Mass Historic Society, which is very complicated. It's still complicated, but it would be for a time period. Just like we're doing for the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club. I mean, similar in that, you can't change this, now that we've given you these public funds, you can't just change this work that's been done and say how long, and that, it can't just be sold and then torn away, like say the facade for, for Chestnut Street or whatever, the work that's done. So she just needs to know from you how many years and to require, and she can take it from there for each of the historic projects. And we don't think that the city ones really need that because, I mean, it's true that the city could decide to, I don't know, sell the annex or whatever, but those are smaller amounts of money and it's less likely that that's going to happen. But for non-city projects, like, the 123 Pine Street Valley Opportunity Council, and for One Holyoke CDC, for those projects, it would be good to have a historic restriction.
What is a historic restriction state?
State. Okay, I don't know all the legalese, but basically it will say that, like I was saying before, that, that for this, it could either be perpetual, like forever, you're never allowed to change this. Even if you sell this building or whatever, the new owner of the building can't just destroy the work that was funded by the public, by the city, so that it would follow with the land, that no matter what, it has to be preserved. And sometimes you need and it would state for what length of time. Like a term restriction could be, say, 30 years or whatever, or perpetual would be forever. And the reason why perpetual is best in a way is because then even if there's a foreclosure on that building, that requirement follows the property.
So, and they would be restricted against what?
Okay, I don't know how else to say it. Against
Not how long.
they would. Okay, I thought I answered the
Any
question.
work that they do- I mean, okay,
They would
so
be
I'm a little
restricted
familiar with
against
some
destroying
historic
the work, changing the facades. You know how we're funding the repair of these facades? They wouldn't be able to just, put up vinyl or something, or take down, or, take off the work that was paid for by the city.
So they could upgrade it, but they can't degrade it.
Well, I don't think they could if they could upgrade it as long as it's within the historic standards.
Character of the
Yeah.
building.
But that's only historic, though.
Talking about historic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. I'm talking about historic projects too.
How many do we have?
Well,
think
remember,
it's
some
the
of them
one
are the
Holyoke
city, so I'll tell you
Chestnut.
how many we
About the
have.
Victory, because they're going to be so tied up with
The
it.
Victory may already have a perpetual restriction.
Right.
That's what
So
I'm
we
thinking.
don't need to
So let's see.
duplicate
So Smithsbury is already a city one. Stained Glass City Annex is a city. So MIFA may not need it, as we just said. So it would be 348 Chestnut Street, Valley Opportunity Council. It would be 123 Pine Street, that facade, and it would be 43 Canal Street. Those three.
Okay. That's doable. Just
Does 25 years sound reasonable? At the end of 25 years, that's usually the life cycle of any building
Yeah.
before you begin to look at it. I mean, that's my own thoughts.
Yeah.
25 years, you can't touch it. After 25 years, come back to the city or the city clerk or somebody and tell them what you want to do. But at the end of 25 years, it's usually the life cycle of any building is usually in and about 25 years.
And then the penalty would be that you owe the money back that you,
Well,
if you do it before,
What if it
right?
legitimately, what if it falls apart?
Yeah, it would have to be.
After 25 years, they've used up the funds.
Yeah, I mean,
The penalty
I don't know
is
if you get
that
any buyers on that
they
one.
could
But
be
I'm saying that if
sued.
there's no penalty at the 24th year,
What happens if
right?
you do it, right? I mean, you have a deed restriction that says
That's
you
what
can't,
Do it for like
you can't
15 years.
paint that stucco bright orange.
Right.
But if you go and do it, then what happens?
Then what happens? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think, I can talk to
I would
Crystal
put it-
about that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I put it in the writing.
5 years,
I think
the money
that
back.
they would risk being sued if they did that. So, but I also want to point
We could
out
save
that,
the money.
remember that 43 Canal Street is only getting 32,000. So I don't, you could, I don't know if 25 years, you want to require the same amount of time as for the ones like 348 Chestnut Street who got 50,000, but although it's fairly similar. So the one who's getting the most is, oh, actually, there, and then the historic part of 123 is only 30,000. So, yeah, that's true. They're all around the same amount.
That's why I didn't want to bother with them because
Like Izzy said, I mean, at the end of 25 years, if you can't touch it for 25 years. If you touch it or modify it in some way that violates the historical character,
Right.
you got to give the money
Gotta
back.
bring it back.
and it would have to be prorated probably for whatever.
You better be.
Make it simple, right?
Yeah, just give us the whole money back. I mean, we want the whole
And
thing.
the interest for all the years.
Yeah, right, compound it. Yeah.
Do it. They could
Izzy,
sue
that's your job.
No, I'm not doing it. I just, the original amount would be fine.
Yeah, me too.
That would be fine with me.
Madam Chairman, if that's, I mean, whatever is the will of the board, but regarding this, and it is an important topic, I would say 25 years, you can't touch it.
I
If you
agree.
do, you got to give the money back.
Yeah,
in
I agree
totality.
with the restrictions like Amy's saying.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I agree with restrictions. It
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
25 years. Now, if I find out that the Victory Theater won't have something that to protect those fixtures, which is unlikely.
Don't worry about that.
Oh,
They're gonna be so tied up. If they fund
Okay.
that project with.
okay.
They're probably not even gonna get the
They're not gonna
funds.
be able to do anything.
Don't they have till next
Okay.
year?
We don't need to worry about our.
All right, so this is really helpful. I'll tell Crystal all this. This will be good. And as you know, we may have to hire a preservation consultant, you know, to help with these restrictions. But I'll work with Crystal and we'll find out what's needed.
I thought she said she could do it.
Well, I think she keeps referring to this as CR, which is the conservation restriction, but I guess she does know the difference, but I don't know if she knows that the preservation restriction is more involved, which I've been trying to tell her, so. But I mean, that's why Stuart was saying if it is too involved, well, his other thought was you could have a line in the contract that says that we reserve the right to impose a restriction, a historic restriction at any time, or to just focus on one if it becomes too involved. But I think we should just,
That was
you
my
already voted.
question. What does a restriction look like? And now we're saying we need to hire a preservation consultant to draft the restriction?
Well, that's what I've talked about this at previous meetings many times. I brought this up, that, that it is sometimes needed to have, but you don't need to use them all the time, you know, that's,
I mean, I'd like I would,
I don't think any of these projects.
Crystal should be able to write a
Yeah.
couple sentences that says, it has to, any modifications have to be done in compliance with U.S. Interior Secretary standards for historic.
but that's a
preservation.
different
That's a
issue.
different issue.
Yeah.
This is that they can't change anything for
Right.
25 years of
Change
what
anything.
we
Yeah,
spent
that's what I
our
mean.
money on.
Yeah, but the Secretary of the, that's
I don't care if they
different.
change it, if they do it in accordance with the standards
we
of the
do.
Secretary of Interior.
Yeah, we
Why?
do, because they're going to be changing what we spent our money on.
Right.
Yeah, kind
It's
of. In a
the
sense.
The
In a small sense,
issue
yeah.
is the anti-aid amendment, which there was a big lawsuit over because of money given to a church.
Yeah.
And it has to serve the public because we're giving the public's money away,
Right.
you know.
So like, for example, if the Boys and Girls Club
about the
says,
money, it's
moving
not about
forward, no, the public can't use 3 PM or whatever it was, that stipulation, wouldn't that be not serving the public?
I'm sorry. Did you repeat that?
So the example, I mean, it's not historic, but just for example, like the example with the 3 PM and only weekends during school year, would that not be
That's a
serving?
different type of
No,
restriction,
I
yeah.
understand that, but what I'm saying is like, that would be a good example to say like, they're not serving the public, right? Because you're technically, you get what I mean? Because you just said
Yeah,
that
if
it
you
have to
didn't have
prove
that.
that,
If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be safeguarding the public benefit.
well, I mean, you're kind of taking away the public benefit
Right.
if you only, you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say, but whatever. I get what you're saying
They
though.
stick with the historic guidelines.
Yep.
They're not going to deteriorate from what we're spending our money. Hold on.
Right. The only thing I think what she's saying there, like if we give somebody 12 grand this year and then next year they add something to it,
But
we
as
just
long
gave
as
you
it
12
goes
grand.
along with what the historic
I mean,
requirements
Oh, that's
are,
fine with
it should
me,
be
yeah.
there.
But
It's
but
fine
no,
with me.
they can't change the stuff we spent.
Yeah,
our
that-
money on.
Elaine is right.
No, they can't change what they've done,
Yeah,
but they can
that's the
upgrade
point.
it
Yeah.
or
They can do
or
other
Well,
things.
more of it.
I understand,
Upgrading
yeah.
it probably
Yeah, I
sounds
don't think
like it would not be,
They can't upgrade it
I
if
just
it's changing stuff, something that we
They
spend
wouldn't
on.
change it, but they might add to it.
I think that we would just have to say that they'd have to get approval from the committee
Historical
if they
Commission,
did
get
that,
the Historical Commission.
or from the CPC, you know, because,
I mean, but we
okay,
can-
so let's just stick to this for now, right? That what you all agreed, the three
Yes.
projects, okay? And I'll just update you on everything.
Okay, is that it for that item 5? update
Yeah,
on
I think
contracts?
so. Mhm.
Okay. Item 6, we already took care of with Olivia when she was here. Item 7, update on budget, invoice reimbursement, bookkeeping, and process. Can we move that to next meetings when I can meet?
Wait, sorry, what are we up to?
Item 7. Item 7, update on budget and invoice.
Oh, okay. I think I already talked about that. You know, that was, yeah, I gave you the numbers, and also we started to set up Excel sheets, you know, to track the disbursements for each project. The main next thing is just making sure we know what the projected budget is and creating a system, you know, I mean, making sure that we, I guess, share that information. Is it with the mayor and city council? And I need to figure out,
In the spring, the city council in the fall. That's how it works. The city
Uh-huh,
council in the fall. Mayor in the
okay. And also just, I need to work with Andrew on figuring out, you know, the 10% and how much there is and the 5% out of this projected amount, so we know what we have for the next funding cycle. Yeah.
And I'll have to meet with you guys.
Yeah, that'll be good. I hope you can do evenings or late afternoons, because that's when Andrew's free. Okay,
Depending what day of the week, yes.
yeah.
So we're all set on item 7. Item 8, workout details for public forum on July 24th.
Okay.
That's,
Yes, and I've already had it, you know, put in for the notice, so that's all squared away.
It's going to be here at the city council.
in this chambers, right here.
Yeah, it's going to be here.
And,
Is that a Tuesday?
I think it's a Tuesday. I don't know if it's a, is what of the week is that? I forgot.
Wednesday.
Maybe a Wednesday, I think, but
Yeah, what we did.
I could be wrong.
Oh, I can see, you want to know what day of the week it is?
Wednesday.
A Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Oh,
Even after.
That's good. That's why.
yeah, we did decide it to be at the
Because I
city.
knew you'd be happy. That's why.
And I guess,
Interesting timing.
Yes, isn't it?
I guess the question is who will run it and what do we need to do to prepare for it?
Next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday.
A week from.
Yes, a week from Wednesday.
July 24th.
I'll put in a notice of just a regular notice and well, it might be too late now. Yeah, well,
And,
I can do the Sun and the Republican just to put a notice in that that's happening.
so who will run it? And I guess I need to know that.
Agenda?
Yeah, and I mean, this might be helpful. I looked at the CPA plan to see what the goals and priorities were that were, you know, or that they arrived on with the CPA plan. And if, it's on page 26. It's actually, this is very informative to help make decisions. One of the first thing is projects should be highly visible and accessible, generating broad benefits to the community. These are things that people said last year. So projects should be consistent with other city and regional plans, with priority given to those that are part of a coordinated, connected vision for area improvements. I don't think we thought about that, part of a coordinated, although some of the applicants who applied did try to show that what they were doing was part of a coordinated thing. Projects should not replace funding from the city budget or other sources. Priorities given to projects that leverage funding. So anyway, I guess the agenda should be asking the public, what are your priorities, right, for
Exactly.
for funding? And maybe it would be good if whoever's leading it looks at page 26 and looks at last year and, you know, asks if this still holds true for this coming year.
We're just basically soliciting public comments.
Input on what do you folks want to do next year?
Or, you know,
Right, it's what
what are we
do they
doing
think
right
about
and
what,
what
right.
can we do better?
Yeah, that could be part of it. Like, how do you feel about, I don't know if you want to open that up, but you could ask, you know, or how do you feel about the projects we've approved? But
Well, we could be there all night, Amy. I mean, it's a good idea, but
I don't know if anybody's gonna show up. I mean, we just
We won't be there
bring
all
it.
night.
yeah, I mean, Madam Chairman,
Required
We're
statutory.
required to do this, yeah, Mike,
Okay.
we have to do it.
So we have to annually have a public forum,
yes,
and that's what we're doing.
yes.
And beyond that, it's not defined what the agenda of the public forum is.
It's
I mean,
whatever they want.
It's maybe,
You know, what we've done and what we should do.
And what would you like us to do?
Whoever shows up might have something to say, so we just listen.
So are you going to be leading it, Kip, as the chair? Okay. Because the other interesting thing on here is it says projects should demonstrate cost sensitivity both in the short-term use of CPA funds and the long-term maintenance or lifespan of the resource for which the funds are used. And then it says, there's only two more. Priority is given to projects which facilitate growth in Holyoke's tax base, either directly or indirectly, through improvements that enhance a neighborhood or encourage private investment. And then the last one was priority is given to projects with a public sector or nonprofit applicant or co-applicant above private individuals, which is interesting when we think of the Maple Street one. So it's kind of a good thing that you rejected that, because that was in here. So, I don't know.
that's the plan. That's our.
But it was based on a public hearing, like
Yeah,
this
that's
was based on
last year's
surveys.
Well,
Don't we just gotta
Part,
present?
right?
That's
I
the
mean-
public comment we got last year.
Don't we just gotta present the,
comments from
That
other
was the
people.
comment.
Right.
And we are going to be working on, it would be good if some of what we find out for this could work towards the small changes, hopefully small, that need to happen with the plan that we talked about before.
That doesn't look big enough for our full plan, is that? the-
It's pretty long, it's like 60-some pages.
Is it 60
How many of them do we have
Well,
left?
yeah, because some of it's just the survey answers that goes on and on.
Those at the meeting.
Small for some reason, I don't know why.
So we should have those at the meeting.
We do have a bunch of them. If,
Let's bring
That's
this
Okay.
back.
just corrections that need to be made to it.
Right.
And they won't be ready by
No.
that July 20th.
No, but I mean, part of the corrections that we make may come out of the public forum.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good idea, Rosemary, to have these, and maybe just say, people could look at that and see if they agree with it, you know, for the next time. Does everyone have a copy of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, I do somewhere.
Do you want this copy?
I do.
Okay. Because I have plenty of,
No, I didn't take it.
I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but if there's not going to be many
It's
people.
heavier than it looks.
I know.
Yeah.
Amy, if they
You want one of these?
don't,
No, I don't.
if they don't ask for it,
gonna be
don't
altered
offer it.
anyways.
I mean,
It's online. Don't
It's online?
forget it is online, isn't it?
All right, perfect.
It is online, so I could just
Oh.
bring what I have and we can say that if, you know,
go online.
people can go online to see. Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else we need to know about that or plan for that? Because that's coming up, I don't know.
We should probably make a decision if we're gonna do applications or not, because
Oh, you mean have the applications ready on that day?
we're gonna have them ready. And
Well, I don't think we want to mention that, if for this hearing, that would be a little bit weird if we say, oh, we might not even do anything this year, you know?
well, unless we decide that we're not.
Or if we hold off until January?
Just hold off and see how
But
much money we
you're
get.
not going to know before July 24th what the decision is, right? So maybe it's better.
Unless we decide tonight. That's up to you.
Decide tonight.
Whether we're gonna do applications or not. I don't think we're ready. We're not
Not
even
ready
close.
right now. I think
Why
we
are
should
we not
just
ready?
put off.
I mean,
We don't have the applications.
We're still
ready.
finishing off.
Well, we
this
have
list.
the
Reservation
applications
plan
from-
ready. Everything was
I
ready.
mean, I don't think we have to be ready to
Yeah, we
I
don't.
don't-
open the application process right now.
We don't have to have the applications at this meeting. That's not what this is for. And we do
last
have
time.
I
applications.
mean, I think, you know, I'm reserving my decision, my personal decision about whether we should have applications or not. I think in part because by what's out there, you know, what projects are coming and, you know, I'm not aware of any. I wasn't aware of any last time. And I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the applications. I would hate to shut down right now
Yeah,
whether or not
I
we're going to be in the
I
process of.
agree, and I also think there's a lot of interest now, and it would be a loss for Holyoke not to, you know, look at what's there if there are good projects. And
Maybe
But
we're going to
If
be,
we're not gonna do a good job, then that's,
Why would
We're
we
going to
do
a good job. Be positive.
Yeah, wait, why do you think that it couldn't be a good job, Elaine? I don't understand.
We're not ready to go ahead with new projects.
Why not?
We're not even finished with
The
the
last
old
one,
projects.
yeah.
They haven't even started their work. They
But
don't
that's
have
how
the
CPA
contracts,
works.
They
You
don't have the money, they don't have any, no, yeah, I think it's too much.
That's how it
But
works.
I'm just going by what I see from you guys.
I agree with you.
I'm
Let's see.
seeing what I see
Let's-
from you guys. You guys are not with it, and not you, Amy.
Oh, okay.
Talking about the committee members, you're not at the meetings, you're not consistent, and I don't think
Well,
we're ready.
I think the one good thing we did well and pretty efficiently, was accept applications, review them, ask good questions, and make some good decisions
Yes, we
about
did.
projects that we were funding.
But we didn't have other projects going on at the time.
That's also true, but these are wrapping up pretty quickly, right? I mean,
Yeah, those are in the, they're in the money chain. They're already
Okay,
doing.
you'll have to prove it to me, show me,
Well, okay.
show me, because
But I don't know if we should, I mean, mention that there's that question at this public hearing.
Oh, I
That would
would.
be
No, because, yeah, right.
turn off for
Unless
people.
I said,
I'll be surprised if there's 3 people here.
There'll
Well-
be 3 good people. That's what
You know.
counts, quality.
I mean,
Well, okay.
all right,
How
so
did
we're
you
all
get-
set for,
yeah,
we're having a
okay.
public forum on
Yeah,
Next,
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
July
24th.
The
24th. Here at
24th.
what time?
6 o'clock?
6 PM, City Council chambers,
PM.
and the first notice already went out, so, or should have gone out. And the Republican, they're supposed to send me the tear sheets, so, assuming.
anything else we're gonna discuss, we're just gonna ask, that's it? Talk to the public, and that's gonna be,
Yeah, public meeting.
For that meeting, I
That's it.
okay. Okay, the next item, number 9, discuss updating a CPA plan.
That's what I was sharing, yeah.
Yeah, part of the, last year at our public forum, we found out that there was mistakes in our plan,
Right.
which we didn't know about. And it was Marco
Right.
Marrero who pointed them out, and I asked him to please
Right.
write those up for us so that
Yeah.
we can make that.
And I've been in touch with him, and he did tell me some sort of period when it sounded like he could get started on it, but I don't have that in front of me. He's very busy, but I don't know if he's really going to write an addendum, but we'll see. I don't know.
It's nothing elaborate, just what page, what's the correction.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not anything that he has to look into or
Yeah,
what's the word I want to say? It's not involved that he has to,
he's going on paternity leave or something like that, I think. But he did tell me something. I could try to look for his email about when he
I
could
will be too soon.
start, but I don't think it's going to be right away. And I didn't tell him it had to be right away.
Did he
so-
write them up already?
I thought he did it a year ago. I thought he already
He
did.
sent us that letter that they
Oh,
delivered
see, I don't
to
know
the-
if I have to look for that. Do you have that letter
Oh,
somewhere?
but he probably has it again. Just ask him to send it
I
over.
have it at home somewhere, but I gotta.
Okay,
look
but
for
I
it.
don't think the
God.
letter had all the specific details, which is why you asked him to give the details.
Yeah, not
It
the
was,
page number.
he criticized
It
it.
didn't have the details.
Okay, I'll ask him for the letter.
Well, this is like redundant.
All right, so that'll be good. So we'll just have to wait on that.
No,
I said, we're almost done. This is what he said.
Okay, the item 10, update on posting
That's
minutes
terrible.
on the website.
Oh,
that
so
out
this
of
is easy and it's all good.
He's on it.
We now have our minutes on the website. It's under, it's on the city's website page. There's a tab that says minutes, and instead of just seeing the video, you actually see a link. It goes to a Google Drive, and I created folders for each year so people can view our minutes.
Okay, and how far back did you?
I guess, I don't have that in front of me, but I think when you started, wasn't it 2017? So, yeah, but of course we're behind because we don't have the 5-7 minutes, and then
Well, that's okay, as long.
this one, I don't know how, if Meg, I hope, will still do our minutes for tonight. What happens if nobody can do the minutes?
We have to have someone do the minutes.
Oh, then we would hire Ryan.
will do
Okay.
the minutes, if that's our backup plan, our plan B.
Okay,
All right, so we're all set on that? So that when we go in front of that city council committee, we can tell them our minutes are on the.
yeah,
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, item 11, review of application and applicant process.
Okay, so I just have some specific questions, assuming we are doing this year, if we're doing it. So I don't know if we should discuss it if we don't know if we're doing it, but it is coming up soon, the time. So the first was the deadline. I think it was good the way there was the eligibility application was the first phase, and then there was the full application. So I think last year we did the eligibility, the short one, by September 14th. So I was thinking maybe it should be sooner just to get a little ahead of the game, maybe September 6th or even August 30th, unless you think that's too much in vacation land. Okay, so maybe if we go forward with this, what do you think of September 6th as the deadline for the eligibility application? The short one.
Amy, what's wrong with the 30th? People are usually away on August. I mean, what is your thoughts?
That's why we were saying September 6th.
Yeah, but if a lot of people are, August is the time everybody takes a week or two off and so on.
But it's a very easy application. It's just like 2 pages. It doesn't take that much time, so they can do it before they go on vacation.
Yeah, but a lot of people are traveling in the summer and, may miss it.
Well, we did the September 14th last year.
Yeah, all I'm asking is 1 week. Actually, originally it was earlier than September 14th. I made it September 14th because I was new. So, but it's up to you. Do you want to keep it September 14th? We can, if you want to. I was just trying to because it's
This is
such
for the
a
applications?
complex.
And this is for the application?
Pre-application.
So the
I know
first-
eligibility for applications that we don't know if we're gonna put out yet.
Yes.
No, it's right that we don't, yeah.
Right.
It's just for them to say what their project is and if, whether it's allowable.
No, I get it, but it's just, I feel like we're going back and forth and we don't know if we're gonna do applications
Okay,
yet.
so you want to say September 14th if we have them?
Yes.
Okay,
Is that all right? Madam Chair?
and I'm not sure when the final application would be due.
What was it due last year?
I'm looking to see if I wrote that down.
Schedule in here.
How much time did people have to apply last year?
Well, they had at least a month or
Like a
two.
month?
Let me see if I
Because if
can
we're
go
putting
back.
it out too late this year, then,
November or something. November 1st.
Yeah, I think it was November 30th.
So we have a funding application process.
yeah, when was the first day it opened and when was the last day it closed? What are the time period from opening and close?
Well, it was November applicants submit full applications.
So by November 1st?
No, it doesn't say, but
Yeah, it wouldn't say it.
I thought it was November 30th,
February, present public meeting.
That was just a general.
but I don't
Right,
have
this
that
is just
written here.
So they opened in November or
But
they
we
closed
had
in
a-
November?
We had a pre-application workshop in July.
No, once they do the eligibility, I let them, we look at that and then I say, yes, you're eligible, and then the ones that are eligible can go ahead to the next phase and start right
Because I
away.
was gonna say, it's just, as long as we give them the same time frame that they had last year, it wouldn't even matter what the dates were. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I want to give them,
At least the
Okay.
same exact time frame as they had last year. So if they had 3 months to put in, to be eligible and then put in the application, then we should try to keep it
well, why? I mean, if it works,
consistency.
well, right, but sometimes it might be
Consistency is
good to change because of the fact that we were worried about, remember during the Christmas time, it was really hard to have a meeting. So the idea, I don't see why we can't improve things year to year. So we could have the application due, in October rather than November. I changed those dates because I was new.
No.
But now I know.
I guess what I'm saying is if we give them 3 months from this certain date, right? It could be in October, it can be in September, it can be whenever it is. Just to keep the same amount of time that we gave them last year from open to close.
I don't think it has to be the same as last year.
Doesn't have to be.
If
Anything
we're
doesn't
fine
have
that it works better for the
No, it doesn't
the
have to be. I'm
committee.
just saying.
Middle of September is gonna be when the eligibility was.
Right.
So- And then you have to let them know, so what is that, a couple weeks? So October 1st, you're gonna by October 1st or thereabouts, you have to let them know if they're eligible.
Oh, I have the time. I just realized I have the timeline with me.
Even the fact that
December is difficult to meet, at least we have them in our hands.
Right.
Here was last year's, everybody. I
Right.
think this is last.
Because if we decide last second to say, yeah, we're going to go with it this year, and it's last second, right? Then we're going to tell them September 14th, and it was August that we put out the applications.
So this is from the timeline. It was November 30th that they had to submit, but I think it made things very difficult during the Christmas time. So it would be good if, yeah, but it was hard. And we may have many more applications because everybody knows about it now.
Yeah, we got that last.
So that's why I was trying to get ahead on it,
Process looks
either by
stringent.
having the eligibility on September 6th.
Well, I wouldn't want to change it too much. I would not want to go just till the end of October, from the middle of September to be able to have, because they're not going to know until October 1st approximately when they're eligible,
Okay.
And then you're just giving them a month to do the full application. I would want at least 6 weeks, middle of
So
November
So middle of November?
instead of the end of November.
Right, that makes sense.
Well,
So November 15th.
If you're, if you're the one that's got to do all that.
I mean, I
work.
would like it to be, because I would like to have more time to look at the applications, because that's the really hard part. So that's why I would like it to be like earlier. But I mean, like even the 15th does help, having it a couple of weeks earlier. But, like I think it could be November 1st, but.
It's
No.
time for them to do their.
So let's try the 15th,
Yeah.
see how that works this year.
What are we saying for 2B? Town's eligibility forms when? So if they're submitting them by mid-September,
Oh, yeah, we're changing
how long do
that.
we need?
Yeah. See, maybe that's
So that's the one
what
that we
needs
should
to be
change.
changed, yes.
Yeah, because that says late October.
So I would say October 1st for that.
Yes.
2 weeks enough time? I mean, it's
So
just
like,
eligibility,
If they're
right?
eligibility, yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. And it depends, I mean, if you get 50
It
applications.
depends. We
or
might get a
three.
ton. Yeah, there
But-
might be a lot of people know about
So
it.
then we have
But
to
we can
put
always
that-
extend deadlines. if
That's
we
why
need
I
to.
think we should have them submit September 6th, have a week more.
Okay.
But I think you
It's-
want to give people 2 weeks after August.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people are traveling.
But it takes 2 seconds to do this
When's
form.
Labor Day?
But it
And
would be,
there's no
then it
paperwork
takes 2
involved.
seconds to review them too.
No, it
Like
doesn't. It takes-
that's what I'm saying though. Like if
takes
you're
more
gonna use
time
that,
to
if you're gonna use that mindset in regards to that perspective, it would have to be used on both sides.
So when's
It
Labor
takes
Day?
more time to review them than for them to do them, so. Because they just say, yes, they're allowable, this is their project. But for us to set up a time to meet, to talk about each one, takes more time, so.
Well,
But I
Madam-
would think that now that you have the experience, you do that. If we give it October 15th, to be able to, that you need to respond by it to their eligibility. And
October what?
October 15th,
I thought you said October 1st.
No.
well, I did originally think that, but now you're saying it's going to be very involved to.
Okay, so October 15th, then they have a full month to do the application.
Right, and
Okay.
Then I would go back to November 30th.
Yes.
Wait, I
for the
don't,
full application.
okay, I really, really disagree, and I just want to say, like, I am the one who is handling all the applications and had to read through them and also try to figure out how to meet during the Christmas time, and it was really pressured.
You need a month to do the eligibility determination, so how can you only give yourself another month to do all the full applications?
But I'm not, it's a month for them to submit their application, and then we have to evaluate between December and February, or whatever.
So you're only giving them a month to do the full application?
I think that's fine.
I think it
Okay.
is too.
If
A
you
month
think
is
they can do
fine.
it,
I think that if they think they're eligible, they're gonna already have their plan in place, and then a month should be adequate.
whatever the committee is.
well, what dates, Madam Chairman, or what have we arrived at?
Yes, so, one, of course, is staying the same, although
I think it should be earlier, but,
2A, we kept at September 14th. 2B, we changed to October 15th. 3 is November 15th. And we didn't get any farther than that. We're gonna have a few months there to go through everything. And
So if on September 14th, we get an applicant who puts it in rate like the first time, can we just let them know right as soon as the application goes in, or as quickly as we can, and not wait all the way to?
It all depends on if we can set up a meeting where we have a quorum, you
So
know?
that Friday is Friday, September 13th. Friday the 13th, 2019.
It is? Oh, okay, September 13th. What day of the week, sorry, what day of the week is October 15th? I wonder.
October. Well,
Oh, that's a Tuesday.
It's either the 11th or the 18th is a Friday. 15th is a Tuesday. I suppose there's nothing wrong with doing it on a Tuesday, right? You can have a Tuesday deadline.
Mhm.
Okay, so keep that. October 15th.
And then what's November?
That's a Friday.
The Friday.
Good.
And then we have,
November 15th is a Friday?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
so this is the review.
And the rest is open for discussion.
Okay, what are we up to now?
Okay, so that's all, you didn't want to go over the actual application itself at this point? Maybe we better
Are there any
not.
change-
Oh, it's
proposed
8 o'clock,
changes to
yeah.
it?
Let's see, I did make some notes here. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you is, right now, like last year, we required 11 hard copies, and yet it seemed like, I'm wondering, do you still feel that that's necessary, or are most people reading them online? I mean, we definitely need one hard copy that I would want for the files, for me, but do you still feel that you need each applicant to submit hard copies?
We can always make one if we want a hard copy. I prefer to look at some things on hard copy. I suppose I can.
Oh,
I
okay.
prefer a hard copy, too.
Okay, so then we'll keep that. But maybe we don't need 11. I'll think about the number we really need. Maybe we need 10.
Why did we ask for 11? There must have been a reason.
I think it was what Roberta said that up for some.
9 members.
And then
Plus
You need
me.
Either Ryan or a file. Or
Okay, so we could keep it at 11.
file, that's right,
Maybe.
the file. Yeah, we need to
Keep
keep
it
the
at 11.
hard copy.
Well, right, so that would be my
That would
copy.
be your copy file.
So really, we only need 10, right?
Right.
Okay. 10 hard copies, okay. And then, let's see.
What about the application itself? Did we have any proposed changes to it?
Well, we don't have to do that.
Critical.
If there's no proposed changes, it's easy.
Well, one question I had is in the eligibility application, some people thought that, it seemed like UKIP thought that, what's the point of the eligibility application? Like, I thought it was fine how it was done, where they would just check the box for what they think they're allowable for. And I think that we should keep it that way, because if we require that they give proof with the eligibility, that'll be a little hard for the Holyoke Historic Commission, because they'll have everybody banging down their door trying to get approved.
So we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, that is another thing to take into consideration for the application process, is that they need to get that letter. But what I can have maybe in the eligibility is something saying you will need to provide, it might have already said that, but maybe more detail about how if your project is a historic project and it's not on the state register, you will need to get on the agenda with the Holyoke Historic Commission,
It says that, but if it doesn't, maybe make it more specific, yes.
directions about HHC letter, yeah.
Didn't get any real pushback on the application, right? Nobody was.
The only problem with it, which is really, it's like a technical thing, is that when people are filling it out online, there's only so much that's viewable when you print it out in the window. So it was really hard to figure out, and even the web designer, couldn't figure out how many characters they're allowed to do that will actually show up when it's printed. So it was cutting off. So, but I'm going to try to talk. Sorry, I'm going to try to talk to Jen in the Office of Community Development, she's supposedly a whiz with these PDFs, so maybe she can, but they're hard to pin down, those people in that office, but I'll try.
Amy, Madam Chairman, what about, do you want to, Amy, as a suggestion, you want to call that gal that did the original set up a website, whatever her name was? Could she help
Joanne.
you out? Could she?
Well, she's the one who, as I said, really didn't know, like, we were struggling with that and couldn't really, it was hard to fix it, so we just had to say, had something, I don't know if we put something like, please don't put anything more than what's viewable in this window. But this is a little thing you don't have to worry about, that we can work out.
All right.
So, yeah, I don't know, I don't have the application in front of me right now, but maybe we should put that back on the agenda next time after I look at it a little more.
Application, and not the process, just the application, right?
Yeah, application itself. And you mean the full application, right? Not the eligibility?
Item 12, CP3 form reporting.
Oh, okay, that's simple. I mean, to talk about, it's just a requirement by September 15th, but I'm going to try to have it done long before then, that I have to document all the awards and what they're going to in this DOR form online, which has a lot of glitches in it.
Right.
So I started to do that for Glue Tech, but they really want a lot of details on every project. This is the Department of Revenue, so I'm just letting you know that that's something I'm working on that's due September 15th.
Very good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And next meeting,
So we're meeting on the 24th for
The public forum, yeah.
the 29th.
it's a Monday. And by then, we should have, the contracts should be finished, hopefully. And we should have an idea of who's going forward.
By
with
when?
that project. It's July 29th meeting, the next meeting.
Hopefully, okay.
Yeah.
So is everybody's able to do that, I hope? July 29th?
No, I can't make July 29th. I can't make Mondays. I don't know when it changed to Mondays suddenly, but I can't do Mondays.
We always were Mondays, but it was,
But then I can't do it once January, come January, so.
We can do other nights, so.
We could do other nights. And then when school starts in the fall, I won't be able to do Mondays either.
Can you do the 29th or no?
Nah.
You want to pick another day?
Well, I don't think we should change it now because we already have Richard Alstrom, Ben Murphy, who's a new person in planning, and
But they're members?
No, they want to come.
they're the Holyoke Historic Commission, and it's really hard to, and Marcos Morera, so the fact that they can all make it on the 29th, it
So if
would
you have
really...
a quorum, then you have a quorum then.
What?
If you have a quorum, then you have a quorum. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking, can everyone else here make it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So we just need one more person, hopefully, yeah.
And what are they coming in to discuss with
Because
us?
we're trying to get on the same page with the process of the Holyoke Historic Commission, knowing that these people who will apply for these awards will be contacting them. So, and Ben Murphy is a new person who took Debbie Opperman's place, so he really needs to understand this too, so that they know that, yes, somebody's going to get on their agenda and ask for them. They've never, this has never been something they've really done before, and that they have to review a historic project and say, yes, this is historically significant, if it's not on the state register. Remember, they need a letter stating that the city of Holyoke says that this is historically significant. So, Marco has agreed to be that liaison and is like trying to make sure we're all on the same page so that they'll work with us.
so Marco Crescentini can be the
Yes.
29th, so that's.
Yes, he
four
can,
of us.
oh, right,
Yeah.
he can be there, so that's 5.
There you
That's
go.
good.
There you go.
So it should be-
Because otherwise, it's like all of a sudden, they're getting bombarded with all these email requests and they don't know what it is. So we want to make sure that they know that we can work with them on this, because there might be some back and forth. They might say, well, you know, we don't like this aspect of this project or whatever, if they change this, you know, so we want to communicate with them more on the historic projects. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Generally, yes. I'm just not sure that that's a board meeting conversation, or whether it's something, why we
It couldn't
can't
just be a
talk with them about
private.
that, like why we all have to come rolling here to have that conversation, to get the historical commission on board with understanding what role they play in the CPA process. That's only my.
I think it's a really good idea, and it's something that Marco, we already agreed that we would do in a previous meeting, you know, and
Mr.
I don't-
Chairman, it's a one-time deal.
I think you should stay on top of it.
It's a one-time deal.
And we have other things, you know, we have, that we tabled, that we need to.
yeah, there are other things we'll have to talk about anyway, so, and maybe it'll be a shorter meeting, but I doubt it.
Well, that's okay. No, it's a once, do it once, that's
Oh, and I
okay.
just noticed my notes here. Remember when we were talking about the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club? She did say, like, the way that it would work is that it would be closed Monday to Friday between 3 and 9 p.m. during the school year. And based on what she said, the hours that their programming would be.
What program?
Is that just the summer, or is that?
What program?
That's the school year.
I have no program.
3
I have
to
members.
9 p.m., she's saying. That they would want it for their programming, and it would be close to the public.
In the winter, I mean, come on, this,
Well, kids still play outdoors in the winter. And
I
then,
mean, yeah, the neighborhood.
and then 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. during
Your
the
main
summer.
I
program
don't-
is
I mean-
the EEC.
So they're
after
saying
school.
till 9
We don't
p.m.
need to
know the
express our
process.
opinions about it now, but I don't think that's reasonable public access. We'll
Yeah,
have a conversation.
and that could be a real problem with the anti-aid amendment, so.
Tell her that,
Well,
you know,
Guys, I think,
running up into a,
I'm sure they've accommodated it for the last 50 years. I'm sure they can. And that was when they got no money from the city. Now they're getting a ton of money from the city. I would think they ought to be able to figure out how to make that work.
yeah, I think we're making something up that's not a problem.
I can't believe, it doesn't sound reasonable to me.
Well, okay, will you let me know
okay.
after
I
you
will,
talk to
I'm
her?
gonna
Okay.
talk to her. I'll
Good.
talk, I won't try her
I'm gonna
tonight,
pull all
but.
those chairs back I just donated.
okay.
Well, it is important, since that's the largest award that this committee has made, you know.
Important, it's really of importance.
Madam Chairman, if there's no other business, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn, if there's no other business.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.